recuse myself from number 5.
Oh, he just wants you to pass it. He doesn't know that.
Item number 5, approval of business of auction business applicants. 1 New Orleans Galleries.
Yeah, there are.
Is that all the same one, or just New Orleans Galleries by
Do you want to
itself?
explain or you want me to say?
May I explain it?
Explanation, go ahead.
Yes, it has come to our attention that the auction by the bankruptcy court for the assets of New Orleans Auction Gallery is scheduled for June 1st, with a closing on the sale of those assets prior to the end of June. As a result, because they're not transferring the business, they're transferring the assets, they will be required to have a new license. A, B, and C are the primary bidders that we know about at this point, and they're asking the board to approve them as an auction business so they can continue to operate prior to the July 19th, or the the July auction board meeting. Otherwise, they would have to come to a stop. Because the bankruptcy court has to approve the sale, I'm asking the board to go ahead and consider the 3 applications pending the sale, the approval by the bankruptcy court, as well as the submission of all required documentation and payments so that they can continue to operate without cessation.
I make it a motion.
I would like some discussion.
I do want to point out that we do have Mr. Ashton Thomas, who is the secretary on file for Cape Red, our antique collectibles in the room.
I would like some discussion.
Go ahead, Dawn.
I would be for approval only if they have a licensed Louisiana auctioneer actually taking over the company. And I believe Tessa has said that possibly you may be able to get an appointment in that respect. Is that correct?
Yes, as far as I know.
I mean, so
I
if,
can tell you this, I'm sorry.
so if Tessa can get that appointment from that particular, from one of these companies,
On all 3 of the applications that have been submitted, they have all listed Tessa as
I mean,
a
then I would be for it because she certainly is very qualified in that particular area, rather than just getting someone else that's not qualified to come down here and operate it. So with that caveat, I'm for it.
All right, and you said they, is this a formal request from the Eastern District of the Louisiana Bankruptcy Court?
This is actually a formal request from the attorney for New Orleans Auction Galleries, as well as the 3 individual bidders that you see today. Because if they did not request it, they would have to stop pending they could not do an auction prior to our July meeting. They have no right to a temporary license if none of these are reciprocal requests. Now, I want to point out too, we have D unknown. There is a possibility that other bidders may participate. We're not aware of those, but I did want to make the board aware that that is a possibility, that there may be more. Again, they would have to be approved by the bankruptcy court, and they do have a deposit requirement as well as others. I'd also point out to the board that we are required to request of any applicant for a business license to list the licensed auctioneers they will be using. That is a requirement of the statute, and all 3 of the ones that have done so have provided a list of licensed auctioneers who will be contracted. If they stop using licensed auctioneers, their business license automatically lapses. And we can cease and desist them.
Well, let me just tell you what my concern is. What I don't want, I know at least 2 of the people are applying, Mr. Rowd and Mr. Schafferberg, they're not auctioneers. They're businessmen. And what I would not want is someone going into the bankruptcy court, putting in the highest bid, getting the inventory, and then letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry come in and sell the inventory or auction it off without, in fact, being licensed.
That's what I'm saying, it would
Yeah.
automatically terminate. The
Right.
business
Well, I
license
mean-
would not be any good at that point.
You know, my caveat is unless they have a licensed auctioneer that's actually going to take over the company at the time of the act of sale, I would be against it. If they do, and I do understand that Tessa has been offered a job with all 3, then I would be for it.
Well, and I want to clarify something. We're not asking that they that the licensed auctioneers take over the company. They have to be employed by the company
Yeah, employed, absolutely.
in some fashion, but they don't have to be the owner. I don't believe Ms. Crone is a licensed auctioneer either.
Any other discussion? Who made the motion?
I do have one question for discussion.
Go ahead.
We're not making any action on item D, which is unknown. We're just
That's
making a
correct.
decision.
That's correct. Although, the only question we would ask, and this is up to the board, if they wanted to approve someone on an unknown status, otherwise,
I would not.
without
Right
them
now.
filing the same paperwork that the others have required. Otherwise, they cannot do it. New Orleans Auction Gallery would be forced to not be able to do a July auction, which I think they have one scheduled at this point.
How you gonna amend your motion just to cover A, B,
That-
and C?
And that,
Well, that's what
and that's my
my original
concern.
motion was.
That's all I have so far.
Original motion was A, B, C. That's why I wanted some clarification on D. What was it put in there for? And, I mean, are we opening a checkbook or what are we doing there? I want to
No,
make sure
no,
that.
sir, we would not open a checkbook on any of these because all of these have to meet certain requirements set by the bankruptcy court.
But anybody can come in at the last minute on into the bankruptcy court and put in a bid.
But they could not have a license unless they met all of our requirements. The question is, what does the board want to do? If that does happen, do we tell the bankruptcy court they cannot operate until our July meeting?
So I've amended to council recommendation. What are you recommending us for us to do on this behalf?
I'm asking you actually, and this is entirely up to you because it's an unusual request. If there is a fourth or other, bidders other than the three we have listed here, that we allow them to operate in July, pending the July meeting. Otherwise, I've got to shut them down in the bankruptcy court. I'm not sure what kind of reaction I'll get.
Up on, coming up with all the requirements that they need.
That's correct. No, they would have to
such as
file
of
the
the other three.
Right, application, licensed auctioneers, bond, and we've made that clear to the attorneys who are involved in all of this, that they have to meet all of our requirements before they can operate.
Well, council, all it would mean if there's a fourth bidder is that they come in, they put in a check and they buy the inventory. It means that they can't hold the auction. But I would sure like to know who we're giving permission to do the auction.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than just doing a D, anybody else can come in and, I would be against that.
And let me say this.
I think that's a dangerous maneuver myself.
Well, let me say this again. I don't want to get the board in an adverse position to the court, and that's one of my concerns, because if we came in and told the court they couldn't operate after purchasing, that could be a problem. I don't know that's going to happen. I think.
So that's why you put D in there. which
I
is
put D in
covered.
there, one, to let y'all know, and two, if you want to do it, we could do at least a temporary. Otherwise, we have to tell them that, I don't care if they got their application in, they got licensed auctioneers doing it, they've got a bond, they cannot operate until
And I'm in a
July.
unique position because I'm sitting here with you as a board attorney and her with great attorney experience trying to decipher which way I should go on this issue.
And-
So I would like to have some more open discussion on this. What you're telling me is absolutely, I kind of feel like I don't want to open checkbook, but then I don't want to hold somebody out and they file suit for us holding them out, not giving them an opportunity to have that unknown player come in. Ms. Jacobs, help me with that.
I surely can. I mean, it's up to, the federal bankruptcy judge is a judge. He's a federal judge, so he's got ultimate authority. And I think that if he wishes to allow someone, D, to come in and approve him to auction, that he has the power to do it. But I doubt that he would do it, because I think it's a matter for the board to vote on. I'm just afraid that not knowing who D is, I wouldn't want to give them authority to come in on this New Orleans Auction Gallery, which is some of the finest movables that they have in Louisiana. It's a prime auction house. To just come in and take it over and operate it without knowing who they are and what they're going to do.
Then would
So I have a
like-
problem with that.
I would like this, if you don't mind, I still have the floor.
You got the floor.
Okay.
You got any discussion outside the restroom?
Well, my discussion was going to bring, as not president of this board, but as somebody who is well informed on what's going on with this auction, I would like to bring Tessa to the podium so I could ask her a couple of questions.
With the understanding that she's recused. and
She's
cannot-
recused herself, but
She can answer questions, she cannot influence the voting because
Right.
of
I
the
just
ethics.
want clarification.
Chelsea, you mind coming to the podium?
And of course, we have the gentleman representing Susan Brown, her interests
I want
also.
to hear from him what
Thank you, Robert. Put me on YouTube.
And my question to you would be, on these three that are gonna be there versus having the unknown, not as a board member, as a auctioneer, give me an opinion of your thought of this.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea who the fourth person would be. From what I understand, just from what I've heard, it's just an option in case someone wanted to come in and bid, that the bankruptcy court wanted to leave that open. Is that correct? Anna can really answer that more than I can because she's talked to the attorneys where I
I
have
just want to
not.
make sure you didn't know anything that we needed to know.
No, I don't know anything at all. I do know both the, A, B, and C, and that I have agreed to auction for.
But you've only agreed to auction for those three.
Right, no one else
Yeah,
has
no one
asked
else-
me.
To my knowledge, there's no other bidders. And let me say this, I would like D to be kept separate anyway, because I don't think,
On a separate motion.
yeah, because anything we do with regard to an unknown bidder at the bankruptcy auction
Thank you.
would be somewhat different from A, B, and C, who have filed applications, who we have on file, who've obligated themselves already. Is my understanding from the attorney for New Orleans Auction Gallery in bankruptcy that the court is going to require them to continue operating New Orleans Auction Gallery as is, and that's some of the conditions of the actual sale, which are available to anyone who wishes to view that.
All right, with that being said, I will go ahead and keep my motion as it was with A, B, and C, and then I'm going to discussion on that behalf. We'll move to D and home.
Can I throw in just a piece, just so that everyone in the room is aware? Cape Red has issued a complete application with the exception of their bond. The B and C applicants were simply faxed versions that just came over on Thursday. Just so that everyone knows, I do not have original completed applications on any of them.
It's all going to be A, B, and C will be pending
Pending,
all,
that's correct.
Absolutely, pending the
right.
pending
sale.
all paperwork in order.
I have it as pending the sale.
I want you to amend your motion
I
to
will.
A, B, and C before we do this to, the paperwork.
Yes, I would amend the motion to make sure that all paperwork is in order and bonds and looked over by our standing attorney.
Second. We have a second. We have a second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Amended to include all paperwork, necessary paperwork and bonds. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, item D. We'll make a motion to accept item D.
I would like to make a motion not to accept item D until we know more about who item D is. And that's something that hasn't been revealed yet. I mean, you're voting on something that we don't know anything about, and I think that's always dangerous. And it sets a very bad legal
We have
precedent.
a second.
I'd like to make a secondary motion that we
We
accept
gotta
D.
have a second.
Right.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna make the motion that we,
Now let that one die for a
Okay.
second.
All your motions died for item second.
Okay?
okay, I would like to make a motion similar to hers, but appoint somebody on this board to be a go-to person. That way, if D does come up and the bankruptcy court needs an answer, they don't have to wait 60 days for our next meeting. Kind of like I am the point person on New Orleans Auction Gallery and stuff. And I would suggest maybe Mrs. Jacobs be that person.
If you don't want me to do it, I'm happy to do it.
We got a motion, do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion made, second.
Discussion.
Can we make, you got the motion now?
Still in the process of writing it, but basically, Ms. Jacobs made the motion that, Greg made the motion, I know I have it written. Greg made the motion that if applicant D does come up, that there be a member of the board appointed, possibly Ms. Jacobs, to review the application so that business did not cease.
All right, discussion.
Yes, thank you. I think it's an excellent idea to have a board member there, but it would be actually acting in conjunction with our attorney. we don't wanna, go, we
Oh,
need to
yeah.
work together, and I wanna make sure that's said out loud, and,
That's how we do it now,
Yeah,
we tell.
we're not taking her out of the picture,
Oh,
we're
no.
overriding it.
No, she actually handles
Yeah,
it,
the attorney
contacts
would have
us.
that, and you'd have a go-to board person on that consensus. With that, I'd be okay with that motion.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Sandy, on the motion.
All right. Mr. Bordelon?
Yes.
Mr. Brisker? Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mr. Snow?
Yes. Chair. Motion carried. The chair exercises the position. Darlene Jacobs will be the board representative since she's in New Orleans. Her backup will be Greg Bordelon. Now Dow will participate in that. Everybody okay with that?